afternoon, everybody, and welcome to our October meeting of the Rotary Club of Des Moines. I'm President Becky Greenwald. You know, we've been sharing factoids each week, little tidbits about Rotary past, present, and future. And we had lots going on last week talking about Polio Plus, and that being the Polio World Day on the 24th of October. And October 24th is also the anniversary of the creation and founding of the United Nations. And Rotary was actually present in San Francisco back in 1945 when the UN was chartered, being ratified by 29 different countries. So that meeting happened in San Francisco and Rotary was there then. Rotary was behind the United Nations before that was chartered. And basically because of our fourth Rotary objective, which is the advancement of international understanding, goodwill, and peace through a world fellowship of business and professional persons, all united in the ideal of service. What a great organization that we choose to be part of. And this key objective was so aligned with the ideals of the United Nations that actually the founders looked to Rotary, and Rotary played a key role in educating the public before the United Nations was chartered. Rotary International published the proposed charter language, and along with talking points, and distributed those to all the Rotary clubs so that members could talk about it, discuss it, and then study it and discuss and share that charter information with other members and people in their communities. So we've got a long, proud history of aligning with the United Nations, helping them build public knowledge and support for that new entity. And even to this day, did you know that the Rotary International has a seat at the General Assembly of the United Nations in recognition of Rotary's work for fostering goodwill and peace across national boundaries. And again, one of our 7 key focus areas, it's a good little reminder, is peace and conflict prevention and resolution. And certainly it's an area that needs continued focus and effort as we see what transpires around our world. So we're happy to be part of an organization that supports the training, education, and practice of peace and conflict prevention and resolution. So thanks to each of you who've chosen to be part of this secular organization to encourage and promote world peace. Give yourselves a hand. So, on that note, I would like to introduce Susan Schomburg, who will give us a moment of inspiration, followed by the Pledge of Allegiance and the 5-way test of the things that we think, do, and say. Susan.
Thank you, President Becky. Our honored speaker today is Sue Woody, Director of the Des Moines Public Library for more than 5 years now. Now, I'm a big reader, and my friend Sue is a wonderful source for new and interesting books. So it makes sense that our inspiration today would be around literature. This from J.D. Salinger. What really knocks me out is a book that when you're all done reading it, you wish the author that wrote it was a terrific friend of yours, and you could call him up on the phone whenever you felt like it. That doesn't happen much, though. True. F. Scott Fitzgerald went even further. That is part of the beauty of all literature. You discover that your longings are universal longings, that you're not lonely and isolated from everyone, and that you belong. So did you ever wonder what the F stood for and why F. Scott Fitzgerald didn't use it? His first name was Francis. I looked it up just for today so we'd know. This from a favorite comedian of mine, Stephen Wright, said, "I wrote a few children's books, not on purpose." Okay. J.R.R. Tolkien gives us this: fantasy is escapist, and that is its glory. If a soldier is imprisoned by the enemy, don't we consider it his duty to escape? If we value the freedom of mind and soul, if we're partisans of liberty, then it's our plain duty to escape and to take as many people with us as we can. Here's another literary giant, Frank Zappa. So many books, so little time. I feel very much like that. And unfortunately, my family would tell you that I agree wholeheartedly with this next one. It's from Alfred Hitchcock. Puns are the highest form of literature. It is at my house. This from Groucho Marx. Outside of a dog, a book is man's best friend. Inside of a dog, it's too dark to read. Sure. And finally, this classic from Carl Sagan. What an astonishing thing a book is. It's a flat object made from a tree with flexible parts on which are imprinted a lot of funny, dark squiggles. But one glance at it, and you're inside the mind of another person. Maybe somebody dead for 1,000 years. Across the millennia, an author is speaking clearly and silently inside your head, directly to you. Writing is perhaps the greatest of human inventions, binding together people who never knew each other, citizens of distant epochs. Books break the shackles of time. A book is proof that humans are capable of working magic. Please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. And now the four-way test.
Is it the truth? Is it fair to all concerned? Will it build goodwill and better friendships? Will it be beneficial to all concerned? Is it fun?
Now greet your fellow Rotarians.
Both? I didn't expect to hear a saxophone, right? Yeah. I'm a big fish fan. So they cover pieces of regalia sometimes. Yeah, no, I love seeing it. But yeah, it was just exactly what I didn't expect.
That's all right.
I know, right?
Yeah, thank you.
All right, it's that fun time when we get to introduce our guests today. And we have 3 guests to introduce you to. First of all, our distinguished mother of the speaker is here, Nancy Amen, mother of Sue Woody, and a guest of Jim Vickery. Did I say the last name right? Amen. Thank you, Amen. Okay, and David Foster, Baton Global, and guest of Carter Smith, and Michael Moraine, guest of Elaine Estes. Where are you? All right, thank you, and hello Elaine, and looky there, we got some published things to look at. Elaine, are you doing autographs for us now? Perfect, a beautiful article for a treasure member of our club. Okay, and today it's a happy birthday day to 2 Rotarians and 2 past presidents. Double trouble, Sean Mullen and Doug Saltzgaber. Happy birthday, you recognize those 2? If I said you haven't changed much, would you be happy or sad? This is great. Happy birthday. We really like to celebrate the fun. And now I do have some sad news I need to share regarding past President Catherine Staub's husband, Jim. Jim has been fighting cancer for several months now, and Catherine has been on family medical leave. They had chosen to keep this journey private and quiet. And Jim's moving to the next phase, the final phase, and he's now in hospice house. And so she thought, better let people know so that it's not such a shock when in maybe a few weeks we're announcing memorial services. So his time is short. Catherine has been staying by Jim's side throughout this, and for those reasons, she asked that people do not call him unless you're already in that circle of friends that have been helping through this, because Jim likes the peace and quiet, and it's much more soothing to him. And so please don't make any phone calls for support, but they would welcome and love to get notes and cards of support sent to their house. I'm not going to announce their address because this goes out on YouTube, but we do have their address here. I've got some little pieces of paper with it on there if you'd like to send them a note or a card. I'm sure they would really appreciate hearing from you. And their address is also in Club Runner. I wanted to make it easier for you. So just come up here if you want their address and we'll get it to you. Okay, so I know you'll hold Catherine and Jim and their entire family close to your heart, just as we all are as they go through this tough time. Okay, so now we're going to move to tumbler time. And thank you for donating $5 to the cup on your table if you don't have the little green dollar sign on your badge. And if you do, you can still donate some money because all that goes into our Rotary Club of Des Moines Foundation so that we can do the continued work that we do throughout our communities. And I want to remind you that our 1911 challenge is still ongoing. Somebody needs to add their points up so far and come and tell me where they are, because I know you're going to be able to beat me, because at the end of September I was at 904 points. I know there's somebody above that. And we had a discussion the other day, and if you guys are going to help us with social media posts or podcasts, Sean, if he's here, you get 25 points for doing that for each thing you do. So we're going to add a little bonus to that because we always like to be able to get the word out to different people in the community. So next announcement, if you were here last week, you heard Colleen Rogers Messenger talk about the need to help Edmonds Elementary School students with Thanksgiving meals. And the sign-up sheets are there on the tables to help us buy $50 gift cards to Fairway that will help families in need. And last week during our Rotary Moments, I talked about it being the anniversary of polio, World Polio Day, and how I've joined the Polio Plus Society, and that's the new group that's trying to make sure that we meet our $50 million contribution as an international organization each of the next 3 years, because we've got a new matching agreement with the Gates Foundation. So our $50,000 for 3 years, it's not 50,000, excuse me, I gotta think bigger, $50 million. Scratch the thousand, $50 million from Rotary International for the next 3 years, matched by Gates 2-1. We'll end up with an additional $450 million going to this eradicating polio. So if you're interested, these sheets are out by the badge center. It's just a thing to sign up and do that. You just need to do a $100 donation each year until polio is eradicated from the face of the earth. And we hope that that's soon. But anyway, they're there if it's there if you'd like it. Okay, now where in the world is Club 27? Well, we had fun. We were at the Nature Play Center grand opening at the Greater Botanical Gardens last week. I had the privilege of, instead of cutting the ribbon, cutting the willow twig. They made it a nice, easy one to cut through. But that was the grand opening. We had our city council and supervisors there and the board members of the Botanical Gardens. And we had a great turnout from our own members. And granddaughter was there having fun along with some other little kiddos. So it's a great space, wonderful place to go check it out. It's a little bit north of the building, and it's just a nice, pleasant little walk. So I encourage you to check it out because it's open and kids are enjoying it. And now, anybody that's been serving on the grant committee last year and this year, that's the way we get these grants agreed to, and this was a $40,000 grant that we funded last year. So if you're a member, Jamie, you're the chair, stand up. Any members of the grant committee here today? Come on, stand up. Let's get you some love. Perfect. Thank you for your work. Good. Any people that have been members of the grant committees in years past, because this all is accumulative, so any of you out there too? It's a wonderful committee, they do great work, and we're gonna hear from them in December with what's new for this next year. So, reminders, you can check out your Where in the World is Club 27 from Kitty. Whenever you're traveling or doing something fun, take it with you, because we wanna go with you and find out what you're doing. Judy, I'd now like to ask Judy McCoy Davis to come introduce our speaker.
When I was preparing to put this introduction together, Sue and I were chit-chatting, and she commented that she hoped it was short. And thought of, it made me think about how often we use the expression, this person needs no introduction, and then go on and on and on. Well, I'm going to use this time to give two things instead. One is a thank you to the Library Board of Trustees, because 5 years ago, they made a difficult decision. They did a national search, but they decided that the best candidate was in their own library. And they chose Sue, who had been there for 14 years already. And that's often a tough decision, because we all hear the expression that if you want the experts, they're at least 50 miles away. But instead, they made the right choice, and we've been the benefit of that. And I want to thank Sue for giving her expertise and her joie de vivre to this club and making it a great club for everyone. Our own Sue Woody.
Okay, thank you so much. It's such a pleasure to be here. I've got so much to tell you, so I'll try not to talk too fast. But let's just start with our mission. Strengthening our community by connecting people with ideas and the tools they need to enrich their lives. The library is here to make people's lives better, and our vision extends that out to the community. Create a stronger, more dynamic Des Moines where everyone's potential is realized. So important. And I do love our little motto, just we inform and inspire the curious. Because we do inform, but we do want to inspire as well. Can I try this? Yeah. But I can't start without thanking our club. Thank you so much. You'll see that beautiful picture of the Rotary Rosie Reader Van. And we have fun stumbling over that all the time, but I say it all the time. And there's our Rosie Reader. And our Rotary Rosie Reader Van is the proud parent. We've got triplets. We've got 3 little EVs now. It's been such a successful program, our outreach program for pre-literacy, that we have expanded it. We received a $1 million grant from the city with ARPA funds, and we purchased 3 electric vehicles and hired 3 more outreach librarians. And so that is making an impact, and we'll talk about why it's so impactful for the city of Des Moines in just a minute. But also, I'd like to thank those who have helped us celebrate Dia del Nino. Al, you've been there, and Jason, you've been there, some of you have been there. It's a great event for us to go out and work with the Latino community, and it's just a fun day. And the last little picture there is one of our outreach librarians, Lesbia, and she's distributing books. So when we say a gift in your honor has been made to the Des Moines Public Library for their outreach program, this is exactly what that looks like. There's a whole mess of books on that table, and all of the kids at that park that day went home with a book. And that is so important because a very, very smart woman once told me, her name is Elaine Estes, every child needs 3 libraries: a school library, a public library, and a home library. So the books that you contribute go directly to those home libraries, which means so much. So let's go on. So why do we need libraries? Some people say, oh, I don't need the library, that's not for me. And I'm like, the library is for everyone. We serve everyone's information needs. We're palaces for the people. That's the third space. We have home, we have work. Places like libraries, places like churches are that third space where everyone belongs. You don't have to spend any money, you don't have to buy anything, you don't even have to be a member. Although we do like it when they have library cards. But We're critical for lifelong learning. And I'm going to give Elaine another shout out because next week she and I are going up to Cedar Rapids where she is going to be inducted into the Lifelong Learner Hall of Fame. So, way to go. This is my favorite one. Libraries promote literacy. Kids, it's so important for our kids. They have to learn to read so that they can read to learn. And nobody knows that better than Jackie on our school board, so thank you for that. We'll talk about that in a little bit. Libraries, when I first did this, a safe space for all, I was typing it out and I put a safe space for children. And I'm like, whoa, no, we are a safe space for everyone. When it's 3 degrees outside and you don't have a heater in your home, you might not even have a home, you have the library. We are a warming center, we're a cooling center for those people who don't have air conditioning and it's 103 degrees. We're a safe space for all. Libraries help preserve our history. This is so much fun. We have archives that are awesome. My favorite thing in the archives are high school yearbooks. We have all of the high school yearbooks from all of the high schools that go all the way back. But you don't even have to come to the library anymore because they have been digitized. You can look up if you went to a Des Moines school or surrounding suburb, you can look up your own high school. I'm not going to tell you what year I am, but Lincoln High. I'm there. Access to technology, something we all take for granted. We have our phones, we have our Wi-Fi, we have our computers and technology coming out our ears, but not everybody does. Job search champions, we love it when we are helping someone and then they disappear. We don't see them for a while, and it's because they got a job. And you trust me, you don't want, that's why technology is so important. You don't want to have to fill out a job application on your phone. We have people that will help you with job applications, putting resumes together. We do programs on how to find jobs, very important. And last, thousands of programs from baby rhyme time to programs for seniors to STEM programming, story times, author visits. We'll have more on that later as well. But let's start with the books. Raise your hand if you're in a book club. Okay, awesome. If you're not in a book club, we have book clubs. We'd love to have you join. And if you are in a book club, we have book club kits. I'm going to tell you a lot of services that we offer that you probably have no idea. You can check out a book of 10 to 12 books that you can give to your book club and they can read it. There's even questions, discussion questions for you to use. Save a lot of money that way. And speaking of saving money, you can see how much money you save. Going to the library saves everyone so much money. We have a tracker. You can see how many books or DVDs you check out and how much your savings. On your tables, you'll see our reading challenge. We want everyone to read, and if you love mysteries, that's great. If you love romances, no shame in that. It's okay. We need escapism, just like Tolkien was telling us. It's all about escape, and it's fun. Reading is great. We want you to read outside your box a little bit. So please join our reading challenge. There's 18 different categories, and we ask that you read one a month, and there's prizes along the way, but it's a way for us to expand our horizons through literature. Oh, and down that cute little picture at the bottom. Notice that these gorgeous librarians are not wearing cardigans. They do not have buns. They're not going shh. But they probably do have sensible shoes, but myself included. But what they are is they are intelligent, articulate. They love reading. This is a podcast that they offer. They want to help you find what you need, and they want you to read, and they want to help you with that. They're fantastic librarians. So much more than books. You don't even have to come into the library to access the library. Did you know that you can get the New York Times, the Wall Street Journal, and the Washington Post for free every day, no paywalls, available to all of our residents with a library card. Canopy is a streaming service. It's got documentaries, it's got foreign films, it's got award-winning films. It's even got the great courses. So for you lifelong learners out there, we've got that. Mango teaches us languages. You could probably learn one of like 75 different languages. Libby is by far our favorite. There's my husband calling me right in the middle of my presentation. There's Libby. Libby is our downloadable books, downloadable audiobooks, and magazines that you can look on your tablet or your phone come to life. They're truly beautiful. So you don't even have to come into the library. We have so many digital offerings for you. This is something new that we offered, Library of Things. So you think library, you think books, but do you think vacuum cleaners? Radon detector kits? We've got so many items that are available for checkout. We've got kitchen items such as a food dehydrator, ice cream maker, cookie cutters even. We've got indoor games and outdoor games, bag sets, croquet sets, board games. Technology, we've got microscopes and telescopes and GoPro cameras and projectors, so many different things that you can check out at your library. Check it out before you buy it. Or something like a radon detector kit, you don't want to buy that, just check it out once and check your radon. And we were even written up in the New York Times recently about having a vacuum cleaner because everyone deserves to have a free, clean house. Not everyone can buy one of those. Adventure passes is something else that you might not be aware of. It's expensive to go to the zoo or the science center or if you have a family. So with these great partners of ours, the zoo, the Botanical Center, and the Science Center, the Des Moines Children's Museum, and what's not on here is the Brenton Skating Plaza. You can get a pass for a family of 4, 2 adults and 2 children's once a year to each of these. That's all about learning. That's lifelong learning. Go to the Science Center, go to the zoo, and that's all about learning, and that's what libraries offer. Tech Central. At our central library, we've got an amazing tech lab. And it goes from as high tech to a Glowforge laser printer, or laser cutter, I should say, to Adobe software. We've got video and audio production capabilities complete with green screen. And then there's a couple of lower tech items that you just might not have but need sometimes, like a button maker if you're making cute little buttons for an event, or even a sewing machine. It's all maker stuff. But we have programs for everyone. We have thousands of programs every year. And here's just a couple I'd like to highlight. Community Roots. I assume a lot of you go to the Franklin Avenue Library. You'll see those native planting. We've got a little native prairie plantings outside. We have a specimen. It's hard to see from there, so you'll have to just go check it out yourself, of a native prairie plant with a 12+ foot root system. So it's super cool. That's something that we did with Parks and Rec. It's super fun. Margaret Renkel is an author that's coming to that location on Thursday, November 2nd at 6:30. She's a nature writer. And we have another nature writer coming in as well, Cornelia Mutel. And I didn't have time to get her slide up here, but she's edited a book with 9 different contributors called Tending Iowa's Land, a discussion of moving our state towards environmental sustainability. And she's a lovely speaker, but she's bringing all of the contributors to this book to the Franklin Avenue Library, and that's on November 6th. I do have this Engage magazine. This is the new magazine. That's last month's magazine. I had to put that on there because of the Rotary Rosary. Now I am stumbling.
Yeah.
Rotary Rosie Reader Man on there with our little baby as well. Some of you, because I know a couple of you were at our event on Friday. We had an Iowa author dinner. Pulitzer Prize winner Andrew Sean Greer was there, and Michael Moraine was our moderator. Thank you again. It was a fantastic fundraiser, and we made a big reveal that night, a big announcement. Authors Visiting in Des Moines is our annual author program, and we are thrilled to be able to announce the world's best-selling, besides the Apostles, the world's best-selling author. Who is it? James Patterson. Big deal, coming to Des Moines on April 10th at the Scottish Rite Consistory, and we are thrilled. He's written a book about booksellers and librarians, the secret lives of booksellers and librarians, true stories of the magic of reading. So it's a real love letter to our librarians, and he's only going to a very few. He's not going to very many venues at all, so we are tickled that we get to have him at our venue. Okay. One other thing that the library has made a high-level initiative is our focus on pre and early literacy. A few years ago, we started an initiative called Simple Steps to Success, and that's for pre-literacy, birth to preschool. And that's trying to educate parents and caregivers, grandparents, teachers, and daycare providers about the 5 easy steps to get your baby, child, toddler ready for school. Read, write, talk, sing, and play. If you do those 5 things with every little one every day. It doesn't cost any money. You do it at the grocery store, you do it in the bathtub, at the dinner table. They will go to school much better prepared for school, for kindergarten. And to follow up on that, that was our Rotary Rosie Reader Van. We've expanded on that to our Rosie Reader Literacy Initiative, and that's K through 3rd grade. So important because, again, every child has to learn to read before they can read to learn. Because if they haven't learned by 3rd grade, the chances of them getting caught up and excelling go down exponentially if they don't. So much more, I won't read this list, but a couple things I want to highlight. Wireless printing, if your printer goes out, come to the library, we can print for you. Notary service, if you need anything notarized, we have a free service at the library. We check out hotspots, and if you're looking for a place to meet, we have meeting room and study room rentals, so available for everyone. So now I'm going to talk about something kind of different. Now you're up to speed on all of the fantastic offerings that we have at the library. But I do want to have time to talk about the challenges facing the library, and they're many right now. Let's start with the most obvious, censorship. Censorship is anti-American. It is directly challenging our First Amendment rights, our freedom of speech, our freedom of expression, our intellectual freedom. And we need to start pushing back on that. And directly tied to that is there's a lot of anti-library legislation out there. Literacy rates in Des Moines compared to our suburbs are pretty darn low. And I know our school board is working on that, and we have a fantastic new superintendent, Dr. Ian Roberts, and we're making waves. That's lowering the achievement gap is primary objective there. Serving diverse communities. We do serve many diverse communities, and we'll get into that in just a minute. And then a fun one, artificial intelligence, AI, kind of scary, but kind of fun, coming our way. So let's start with banned books. Our freedom to read is under attack. That's what my t-shirt here says, protecting your freedom to read since 1866. And I'll show you later. On the back, because we do have targets on our back, so we put our Library Bill of Rights on the back of our t-shirt as well. And I'm going to read those to you later if you will indulge me. So, what does book banning look like? I just pulled some off my shelf. Animal Farm. Kite Runner. Now this one is especially interesting because the setting of the Kite Runner, it's a beautiful story, but the background is Afghanistan in the 1970s when they were being invaded by who? Russia. So interesting. Catch-22. Banned because violent depictions of war. What's a book about war? And we need to hear them. A couple of classics. Catcher in the Rye and To Kill a Mockingbird. These are books that we had to read, as I recall, when we were in high school. Handmaid's Tale. A lot of these are older ones, but I'm going to get to, here's the oldest of all, Uncle Tom's Cabin. Now this was originally banned because it gave too accurate portrayal of the slave experience. This is where we get into that uncomfortable histories, where we don't want to teach uncomfortable histories because it makes people feel bad. Banned books look a little different today, and the targets of many of the banned books are targeting audiences, authors, and books about people of color, as well as LGBTQ+ community. They look like All Boys Aren't Blue. They look like Genderqueer. And this is kind of a how-to handbook. This book is gay. So I thought of this when I heard Susan read from F. Scott Fitzgerald. That is part of the beauty of all literature. You discover that your longings are universal longings, that you're not lonely and isolated from anyone. You belong. And if there are classes of people who feel like they don't belong right now, it's the LGBTQ+, as well as many of our communities of color. And that's what's really under attack right now. So, go on. This is what censorship looks like. If you'll notice, it starts 2003. We're just kind of, we kind of go along for decades. And when it was Banned Books Week, it was like, okay, dust off that copy of Fahrenheit 451, which is an awesome book, and let's celebrate that book. Now you see this huge spike in the last few years since 2020, and we're not celebrating banned books anymore, we're defending them. And so the tone has completely changed. Started in our community. It's here with Senate File 496, prohibiting gender identity and sexual orientation for grades K through 6, as well as any sexual depictions for the older kids as well. Requires age appropriate. They railroaded this legislation through as fast as they could without any direction from the Board of Education as to how. There was an article in the paper today where they are starting to address that because they're going to be in compliance by the 1st of January, and they're putting all sorts of warnings what's going to happen. You'll have to go in front of the Board of Education for a disciplinary hearing. You could lose your job. These people, these teachers, they work so hard to get their licenses and their education. Are they going to sacrifice that for this cause? I don't think they will, nor should they have to. And Urbandale, these are some of the books that were immediately banned at Urbandale. They came up with a list, knee-jerk reaction of about 385 titles. That has since been shaved down to about 65 titles. I believe that Waukee just released their list, and there was about 22 titles or so on theirs. Mason City was a funny one because they used ChatGPT to generate their list of what books they decided were not appropriate. It's crazy. School board takeovers. We're very concerned about what's happening in Johnston. There's initiatives to not only take over school boards, but to take over city councils. And the next step is Board of Trustees. We talked about our Board of Trustees, and what people don't realize, we are a part of the city and we are municipally funded by the city, but we are not governed. Libraries are not governed by the city. We work hand in hand and very closely with them, especially on budget issues. But what our board does is they are in charge, well, I'll talk about that in a minute, to talk about it now. They hire the director, and hopefully not fire, and they are in charge of our policy, in charge of our strategic plan, and they have budget control. So here we go in Pella, that's on the chopping block. And I'll get to that in just a second. I just want a couple other things. I did want to read this little library. It's hard for you to read in the back. This is outside of one of the Urbandale schools. It says, "This little library is not funded, sponsored, endorsed, or maintained by the Urbandale Community School District and is not in any way part of the Urbandale Schools library program." It makes me want to take all these books and just shove them in that little library and let people read them. But we know we are next. About half, they started with school bannings and challenges, and now about half of the challenges are directed at public libraries. So we are next. It could be worse, we could be Texas. Glad we don't live there. So here's that library bill of rights I was telling you about. This is local history. This man in this picture is named Forrest Spalding, and he is a hero. He is a local library hero from Des Moines, Iowa, back in 1938. These issues remain the same. Here it is, that's 85 years ago, and we're still talking about this. I'm going to read it to you because it is that important, but luckily it's the abridged version because we had to fit it on the back of our t-shirt. Library resources should be provided for the interest, information, and enlightenment of everyone in the community that we serve. Libraries should provide materials and information that present all points of view. Libraries should challenge censorship. Libraries should cooperate with all persons and groups concerned with free expression and free access to ideas. A person's right to use the library should not be denied because of origin, age, background, or views. Libraries should make spaces available to the public regardless of the beliefs or affiliations of those requesting their use. And last, libraries should advocate for, educate about, and protect people's privacy, safeguarding all library use data. And that little symbol at the top says protecting your freedom since 1866. That's how long the library's been serving our community, and we're sure glad that Forrest Spalding came along We still use this today. This is still a part of our collection development policy, but it's not just us. This was adopted by the American Library Association in 1939, and it is the cornerstone of all over the nation's collection development policies. So what can we all do about it? What can we do? First of all, be informed. Thank you for attending today, and thank you for letting me tell you the story. And check out more information. Annie's Foundation is a wonderful local foundation. Annie was a mother at the Johnston School District who passed away, but she was passionate about intellectual freedom, and her friends took up the torch and founded Annie's Foundation, and their mission is to get kids reading banned books. And then there's a couple others. These are both United Against Banned Book Bans is part of the ALA, and PEN America is a writers association. What else can we do? Read the books. Read those classics, but read books that you might think that have nothing to do with you. Gender queer, All Boys Aren't Blue. These aren't made up stories. These are memoirs. These are things that really happen to these kids. And they're stories of resilience, and they're stories of bravery that I can't think of a better book to read with or side by side with my child and my older child. They're not meant for 8-year-olds. But read the books and check them out from a library, because circulation matters. When books stop circulating, books go away. When books stop selling, books go away. So read them and then talk about them. All of you who had your hand up in the air, if you're in a book club, read these books, encourage others. Talk to decision makers, like our school board members, like principals, like our new superintendent, like the mayors, the city council, and other electeds. They want to hear your voice, because I can tell you they're hearing a lot of opposite voices. Here's some of that legislation. There's Pella's resolution that's going on the November 7th election. The people of Pella will be voting on that to take away the board's authority and moving it over to the city council. That's really scary to libraries. House File 718 jeopardizes library levies. Library levies can no longer be separate. People want to be able to say, yes, I don't care about all that other stuff, but I want my tax dollars to build this new library or to put a new wing on. Now it's going to be jumbled up in larger levies, so harder to find. That's going to hurt especially the smaller libraries. And there's funding cuts in Hampton. They just took a 12.5% county funding cut, and they really feel like it was because there's a big battle going on regarding these banned books. So last one is kind of a new one. It's an Institutional Viewpoint Neutrality Act, which states that libraries cannot take a stand on any issues, including issues that are important to the community, like book banning. They don't know about that Library Bill of Rights, but we don't want that one to pass. And here's what we should be talking about. We shouldn't be talking about what kids are reading. We should talk about, can kids read? Are kids reading? And this is based on the scores of our Des Moines kids, that big red line. Iowa reading, kids reading, percentage of kids who are proficient at their reading skills for the state are about 66 to 76, which I consider a C. And the sea of green there, you see Ankeny, Urbandale, Waukee, Johnston. They're in the 80s and 90th percentile. Our kids here in Des Moines are 43 to 54% proficient at reading for their grade level. This is what we need to be talking about. This is why we need to be supporting our schools, supporting our teachers, supporting our families, and our administrators at Des Moines Public Schools. This is why we have the Rotary Rosie Reader Van. This is why we are doing our new early literacy program, because we want to be a part of the solution. And you wouldn't think that that's what a library does, but it is what we do, because we're passionate about it. Again, I'll say it, I've said it a couple times already. Kids have to learn to read so that they can read to learn. You have to read a social studies book, a science book, a history book. And if they don't have those skills, it's hard for them to get caught up. Another challenge facing libraries is serving diverse communities. And it's so great to have Melissa here, because the diverse communities that I'm talking, one of them, is serving our unsheltered and our houseless community. And they do use the library. They do come in for extreme weather. They do come in to use our internet. And yes, sometimes they do come in and take a snooze. And that's not ideal, but we are glad that they are at the library. We're glad that they are here. But because of that, we have hired a new community resource specialist who's working with our friends at the shelter, who's working with all of our community partners. She's a social worker, is what she is. And she just sent something out just yesterday. Community resource specialist. She connects those people in great need, in crisis, with the resources that they need. She sent something out just yesterday about LIHEAP, Low Income Energy Assistance Program. And they help with if you can't make your utility bills, if you can't, if you need a heater breaks down and you need to get it fixed, even if helping with insulation and winterizing. There are funds out there, and she's going to help connect them. She will even help them fill out the grants. She's only been with us a couple months, and here are just a few, not all, of the issues that she has worked on. I gotta stop pretty quick. Mental health, domestic violence, housing, food assistance, legal aid, emergency shelter, social security, medical, clothing, transportation, recovery and addiction, and she's only been here 2 months.
Wow.
There's a great need out there. Forest Avenue Library Challenges, well, I worked there for years, and we always had kind of crazy, out of control kids. Now those kids have guns. And this is a fact of life, and we have police presence there on and off throughout the day and evening and weekend. It's a challenge, and that's what libraries are facing. We do lots of security training for our staff, as well as mental health training for our own staff. Changing demographics in Des Moines. Speaking of staff, we want our staff to be diverse and reflect the people that we serve. Des Moines is changing. Our schools are minority majority now, and we need to be able to have bilingual programming and culturally diverse offerings. Because this is the fun one, AI. It's here to stay, it's coming. We can't get around it, but we have calculators and we still have to do math. Computers, who can live without one now? And no, Google was not the demise of libraries. These only help us, and AI and ChatGPT and all of the great offerings that are coming our way are going to be great, and we're going to be there to help you with them. Finally, reading matters. We believe that reading changes lives and improves lives. Reading promotes empathy and tolerance instead of judgment and division. We read to seek knowledge so that we can make informed decisions, and we can think critically because we have the information that we need. And knowledge is not something to be feared or controlled. It should be celebrated, and it should be defended, and that's what we're doing here today. We are defending our rights to freedom of expression and unrestricted and equitable access to information, because that's what we're all about. Thank you so much. And do you have any questions? Do we have time for questions? We don't have time. One question. I successfully avoided that. Anybody, Jackie?
Well, I guess I'll just make a comment. First of all, for those of you that don't know, she is a rock star in terms of a partnership with DNCS, so we're really lucky. I really appreciate how you talked about this in not a partisan way. And I just want to remind people, when Grand Books conversations come up, every school already had a policy of how to bring a book forward and challenge it with their administration. So I think you should question why this is necessary, because schools already have policies. And the second thing, when we talk about school funding, an example of how school funding and cuts impact us, our schools don't have librarians. I mean, I was shocked by that. We do not have librarians in our public schools. And so just two examples as you try and contextualize some of the things that Sue said, and we're really lucky.
Thank you so much, Jackie. All right, sorry we didn't have time for, well, I can't deny Elaine.
Okay, one more, Elaine.
This is something that was on the CBS News yesterday, and she talked about various programs. The actor Richard Roundtree died Tuesday at 86 years old. We had Richard Roundtree at 100 Locust Street when the Des Moines author Eleanor Cates' book became a film, and Richard Roundtree was the star.
Oh, that's fun. All right. I threw a lot of information at you. Thank you so much for your patience.
Thank you. so much, Sue, for providing such valuable and important information for us. Truly our own Des Moines rock star. And thank you for being a member of our Rotary Club of Des Moines. And you know the drill. We've got a book that's going to be donated on your behalf to the Rotary Rosie Reader Band collection. And we are so thrilled that we were able to make that $40,000 grant a couple of years ago. I believe that was in 2020. So good to see it getting around and putting the miles on and having a little baby dance now. Baby dance. Okay, some upcoming events. Let's roll through these nice and quickly. In addition to our every Thursday at noon meetings, we promise you we'll have at least 2 additional opportunities a month to meet up with each other. And there's information at your table and at the name badges. So coming up this Saturday is going to be so fun. It's the Community Service Community Volunteer Opportunity, Trick or Trees at the Botanical Gardens. People have signed up for that, so we're really looking forward to getting up there with the kids Saturday morning. And our next Second Chance Tuesday will be Tuesday, November 14th. We'll probably move it indoors, so we'll find a spot inside there at Big Grove or look at where we want to go. Upcoming speakers are moving right along. Michael McCoy, he's the Metro Waste Authority Director, November 2nd. November 9th, don't come here, we're going to have our fellowship opportunities, and next week the information will be sent out so you can sign up for where you'd like to go. The same time we'll be meeting, but you'll have your choice of meeting at either the, let me look at that, Mainframe. There is going to be Jonathan Kingsbury hosting people at InstraPro International in Grimes. Christina Smith is hosting us at Mainframe Studios with a Momentum in Arts program. Jean Shelton will be doing On With Life. And then Robert Reed will be the Dorner Villeneuve Simulation Education Center at Iowa Methodist Medical Center. That'll be great opportunities to learn more. And then on November 16th, we'll be back here for Joe Ziemba, who is an NFL historian. So thank you all for being the wonderful Rotarians that you are. You're vital to the success of our club and the success of our organization and the world with all that we do. And until we meet again, let's get out there, have some fun, and do good in the name of Rotary. We're adjourned.